So this is a traditional chant that happens at the beginning and at the end of every session in the monastery, every class, every meditation. It's trying to place our minds in the idea that there is some agency, some power within us, and everything we do, say, and think matters and can actually create a future experience of reality that is as sublime as we can reach. And so that's the class tonight. That's the course. So I want to welcome everyone back. If you're able to, I'd love to see your faces. It makes it interactive for me. So I invite you to put your camera on. I can't see very well, so I'll just see a shape. So if you haven't done your makeup, it's okay. And compare yourself to this head, you're probably pretty. Yeah. So if it's prettiness or fashion, you're good, at least over here. So let's go. Welcome back. Like I said, we've done 4 courses already. We've done the 3 principles of Buddhist thought: renunciation, bodhicitta, and correct view of emptiness, which implies karma. And then we've done this idea of, is there something that can really protect our minds and develop a shield from suffering, so much so that we can never experience suffering again? Is there something in our minds that can help us reach that? And then we've studied a little bit about meditation, the tool, the technique to reach that part of your mind that creates an experience of reality, so much so that if you practice meditation correctly and investigate the nature of what your life is all about, you could uncover how you are, how you can get ultimately free from suffering. And then we did past and future lives last week. Sorry about the sound. Forget to turn that off. And then today's class is really this powerful concept of karma. It's really a game changer, and it's the other side of correct view from course 1, from week 1. It's the other side of the word emptiness. It's the other side of the word no self nature, no self existence, and all those trigger words in Buddhism. Because things don't have a nature of being the way they appear, they're empty of that nature, then karma is the investigation of how is it that our consciousnesses, our minds, create this whole very real tactile reality, everything we feel, taste, touch, and see, etc., and how our minds sort of creates a model of reality. Karma is a powerful thing to study and difficult. And that's what we're going to do. And I think it's a powerful day to do it because most of you are probably thinking this. Sorry, Anne. Anna. Most of you are probably thinking that. And I don't want to ignore the fact that so many people are distracted by this thing. It's such a good lesson for karma. If you've voted, if it's on your mind and you've done something, worrying about it, thinking about it, placing your mind on it, wishing it to be this, wishing it to be that, will waste your life. Like nothing to do for the next couple of hours or perhaps day. So if you've done something, congratulations. You've voted. If you've communed and talked to people, congratulations. But there's really nothing at all that you can do right now to change or affect those results. What will come will come. If you've already done the work, and collectively as a community we've done the work, what will ripen is what will ripen. And the most powerful thing I think we can do is learn how our minds engage with reality. Because whatever comes, you will be there, hopefully. Whatever happens, you will be there. And my question to you is, what state of mind will you be there in? Because you have choice. You have choice in worrying, hoping, wishing. Like, what are we placing your mind on? And today's class is all about that. So I wanted to bring that in because if it's in the back of your mind, do you have the meditative concentration, the capacity to say, oh, I've done the very best, I can relax. Let me now work on the thing that I do have some control over, my mind. Yeah, that's something we can do. So I commend you for being here and not glued to the TV or whatever the thing is that people glue themselves onto now. Congratulations. And if you have it on the side, I invite you to turn it off. Yeah, thank you. So I thought that had to be said. Here are some cool concepts we covered last class and really in the last course of Past and Future Lives. You got to see how the main thing that Buddhists think about when they say past or future lives, the fact that this consciousness that is perceiving this moment right now was there before in a slightly different flavor. and was there a week ago in a slightly different flavor, and was there a week before that in a slightly different flavor, all the way back to the first moment this consciousness appeared on this planet. I didn't do that. Well, hold on. My slide moved without my effort. Damn. Sorry about that. Here we go. Yep. So we covered in the last class this core idea of Nerlengikyu, or principal cause, and then the fact that if we divide physical and mental, your physical body has causes and conditions that made it this way. We keep feeding it food for it to be a certain way. We keep putting lotion on it and washing it to be a certain way. And the body keeps changing. And we do the same for the mind. And the mind comes and goes in the way we affect it. So those two big concepts are the things that we brought from this past or future lives. Today we're doing karma, and we'll cover why talk about karma. What's the background of this theory that we're uncovering? If it's true that my mind is projecting a reality on something that could be a million different things, pen or chew toy, empty of a nature, but it is a pen for those that are forced to experience it with those mental seeds, karmas, and it is a chew toy for those that are forced to experience that object as chew toy, karma. The object itself, you could never find what it is separate from those mental projections that we're forced to experience, because you don't choose pen. You can't wish it to be wand. You can't wish it to be gold bar. Dog can't wish it to be pen. It's pen for humans, chew toy for dogs. And so when we say projections, we're not saying choice. We're saying you're forced to have that experience of reality. This very experience of your body and your world is logically coming from us, karma, because things don't have a nature, empty of a nature, no self nature. And that's all that no self means in Buddhism. I've met so many people wasting decades to try not to be themselves, because I'm no self, I don't exist. And it's bullshit, frankly. It's a waste of time. Of course there's a self. Someone's listening. Who's listening? I am listening. Good, that exists, but not the way you think it does. It's empty of a self nature. You know, Anna is not Anna the way Anna thinks of her right now. That's not what you were 10 years ago. That's not what you're going to be 10 years from now. That changing mind perception can be influenced, and that's the study of karma. So much so that your whole reality can. So we'll talk about the background of where the Buddha taught this, and some of the things you can go open more doors to it. Like we'll get to the essence of that, and then hopefully by Thursday, we'll get you some application, how to use it day to day. Yeah. Does that sound like a good way to start today? Can I get thumbs up so I can see that I'm not talking to a flat screen, or that everyone is sitting in a airplane facing the same way? Here we go. Huge idea, karma, right? It's got massive, massive implications. It asks, it really comes down to the question, where the hell did you come from? You know, and if you look at sort of a Christian view that I grew up in, God made me. Yeah. And for a long time, I thought someone made me. Yeah. This me, I don't mean this body. Sure, my body came from mum and dad, but this Hector-ness was made by someone. And I believed that for a long time. And it was hard to peel away from that because I was so indoctrinated in that thinking. So you can have that view. Buddhists say, go ahead and have that view, but investigate it, right? Is it possible that someone created you? Yeah. So Christians would say that. You know, modern scientific theory would say mum and dad made you, and that's why you are you. Yeah. And so you would think that mum and dad could really shift materially everything I am, and that's easy then to pin all my problems on mum and dad. But the fact is that my four siblings and me are very different, and very different from mum and dad. Yeah. In fact, in some cases, we resisted being like dad, and we resisted being like mum, and we wanted to be more like mum, but we are definitely separate entities. And Buddha said, you made you. A previous moment of your mind is what created the current moment of your mind. Karma made you. The mental projection of you as you is fully your responsibility. You do, yes, mom and dad gave you a body. They'll say, no problem. Yeah. And the social constructs that you live in, the country, the culture, the friends, the family, the everything that influences how you respond to that stimuli. But your choices make you. And that's huge, huge idea. Yeah. We can skip on it lightly, but it's a massive, massive implication. And so the study of how that's possible, the study of how my mind projects a reality on a certain stimuli, is the study of karma, and we'll get to that today. What else have we got here? This thing that I'm calling you, that is not your body, that thing that I'm calling you, that I'm going to say consciousness, which involves all the mental aspects of you. Why do you think the way you think? Why do you have the mental biases that you have? Why do you respond with certain emotions more than other emotions? Yeah, why do you love or hate or have a tendency to view the world in a certain way? That's what I'm calling little y you. Yeah. And the ultimate big why you is this constant perceiver of you. And those are mental things. Yeah. They're not physical. Buddha didn't make it either. And God didn't make it according to this theory. It didn't come from mom and dad. And it's beginningless. You can't ever find a beginning. We touched on that last class. If you have a previous moment of consciousness and you can prove that in before birth, before the first moment of awareness in the womb, this mind must have been produced by a previous moment of this same mind. If you can do that proof in your mind through meditation, logic, etc., then you can say that also for a previous life and a previous life and a previous life with no beginning. And we want a beginning. We want all sorts of things, but reality versus what we want, you know the story. And it also didn't come from nowhere, which is our minds want to go there. Oh, it's just chance or chemicals coming together, like the egg and sperm created the mind. Buddhists refuted that in the debate we did last week. So this is some important ideas about this raw thing, consciousness, which is where karma lives, breathes, and projects reality in this system. And so karma is everything we think, we say, and we do. And so we'll use the metaphor of seeds. But can I invite you, please, 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 don't think there's a tiny little seed going into your tiny little brain, and that's karma. Okay, it's just a metaphor. What we are really talking about is when I say these words and your ears hear these words, all of you are hearing them slightly different. Some of you are focusing on the Italian accent or whatever accent you think I've got, the Australian accent. There's all this subtlety to the experience of these sounds that are coming out of the speakers in front of you. That's the experience of karma. Your mind labeling that against your will, like forced by previous constructs. You are now constructing a whole idea of what Hector means. And based on all your ideas of the things that I've mentioned, creator, God, no self, this and that, your mind is constructing a reality that isn't what I'm intending. It's your version of it. And somehow we communicate. So when I'm saying karma, I'm talking about receiving all this data and your consciousness really quickly putting it together in packages that you get certain. That's what Hector said. If I surveyed everybody after class, you'll all say the class was about something slightly different. That's karma. Then our reaction, our response to that reality, what we say, what we think about, and what we do, that's planting karma. So one is experiencing karma, like the crops from those seeds, and the other one's planting seeds, our reactions to it. Can I get those concepts in your head to start with? Yeah. We're not talking about little seeds, okay? That's what we're going to say, little seeds. But what we're saying is, at a very fast rate, your mind is constructing a model of what you're experiencing, and it's not what is. It's your model. And we think it's true because it somehow functions. I can say words, and you're like, words. But your nuance of words is not my nuance of words. And if there's a puppy dog next to you, when I say words, doesn't mean the same. It's not from the decibels. The decibels have no self nature. Yeah. So that's what we're talking about today. Very awesome topic, like huge, huge implication. And as frightening as it is to think you made you and your world, not someone else, not mom. It's not mom and dad's fault. It's not God's fault. You did it. As frightening as that is, it's equally liberating. Because if it's inside you, you can change it for real. If you can have an experience of an object as horrible or divine, then you figure out what makes it divine, and you can get enlightened. You can wake up. I hope you got the message. I'm trying to shoot karma bullets over there, and I hope they're igniting something. Javier, can you run us through where it comes from, like the text and all that stuff?
Would love to.
Here we go.
Would love to. So like in every first day of the week, we go a little bit through what we call the lineage, right? Which is kind of like that connection between us and what we're learning, where it came from. So it started with Lord Buddha. He spoke all of this. And then we're going to be studying from the text, the treasure house of higher knowledge, which was written by Master Vasubandhu. And Master Vasubandhu, this text, the treasure house of higher knowledge, Abhidharma Kosha in Sanskrit, it's a commentary of Abhidharma. Abhidharma is a text, it's kind of like a compendium of work, very technical book, very dry. Very important though, because many schools of Buddhism come from there. This was basically when the Buddha passed, all his students started writing down everything that he taught, and this became the Abhidharma. Master Vasubandhu took this text and wrote the treasure house of higher knowledge, and this becomes our closest Sanskrit word to what the Buddha spoke. To us as a tradition, this is the closest to the actual spoken word of the Buddha that we have. What does Abhidharma mean and why it's so important? Abhidharma means the etymological translation. Abhi means approaching, and Dharma means highest object. So it really means the text, the book, the work that will take you towards that highest thing. In our case, an enlightenment. That's the claim, right? Then the unsustained knowledge. Whoever's doing the certification, quickly copy that, take a screenshot. I don't want to dive deep into that because this is very technical. But I do want to mention that we are also studying from the Illumination of the Path of Freedom. In the homework, they're going to ask you what the books are: the Abhidharma Kosha, or the Treasure of Highest Knowledge, and the Illumination of the Path of Freedom, which was written by the first Dalai Lama. Also a commentary on the commentary. The basics of karma all spin out from, so the Abhidharma Kosha, written by Vasubandhu, has 7 chapters. Out of those 7 chapters, in the 4th chapter, it's all about how reality comes to be from the point of view of Buddhism and the mind. And all of the study of karma starts with the first verse of the 4th chapter, which reads, "Deeds cause the multitude of worlds, sorry." And in Tibetan is Lele Jikten Natsokia. Now, this basically refers to the multitude of worlds, doesn't refer to a crazy multi-universe from quantum physics. It really refers to each and every mind that is perceiving. Your world, my world, Hector's world, and worlds, Maya's world. And we're going to, so the Abhidharma Kosha influences, it's going to explain to us what is karma and the basics. This also influenced the Madhyamika school and the Mind Only school, which is going to inform what we're going to be studying today and on Thursday of how karma works. Each school has like a little bit of a different view of it, but These are the two main schools that are going to inform us tonight and on Thursday. And the Lamb Ream is going to take us through the correlations and basically the way karma works. If anybody here knows anything about computer programming, the if this then that, if this happened then this must happen after, that's the most core concept of karma. And in all of Buddhism, there's a big conversation around death and around aging and around not wasting this precious life, the human life that we have. According to Buddhism, we have the perfect mechanism to reach the ultimate goal of enlightenment. We don't really want to waste this mechanism. We go about our life forgetting that we're going to die. We kind of like know it in the back of our mind. We don't talk about it too much, but it can happen at any moment. And it's not a conversation that most people in our side of the world feels very comfortable having on a regular basis. My brother was 26 years old when he died at the beginning of this year, and he was not sick. It can happen to absolutely anybody today, tonight. This might be the last words I speak as this being today. And this is not to like scare anybody. We kind of like to really put into perspective if we are understanding all this, if our mind is moving in this direction. That's the translation of karma, the movement of the mind. If it's moving in that direction, we better take advantage of it. We really, we talk about future and past life, but the only life that we really have right now is this. So whatever we do, this is the moment that we have to do it. Now, really quickly, also in the homework, not super relevant, but important to have in mind, what is a Buddhist text and what's important for it to be a reputable Buddhist text and why we respect it. And I'm covering this because we're talking about the Abhidharma Kosha and the Abhidharma and the illumination of the path of freedom. They're important books because they take into consideration the subject, they take into consideration the purpose of the book, what is its ultimate goal, and how all these three things relate to each other throughout the book. If you're doing the homework, copy and paste, try to understand it. If you're not doing the homework, I'm glad you heard it.
Thanks, Javi. I love that because what they're saying basically, thanks for that memory, that call to impermanence, right? So it's a precious human life. We don't know how long we have, and if that's true, and if it's also true that our every world comes from us, something we are doing, saying, and thinking produces our experience of who we are and what is, then we've got this powerful opportunity. And so basically, Buddhists are saying, if you're going to read something, don't waste your time on a novella or a telenovela or whatever. Place your mind on the thing that will unlock the understanding that helps you produce a enlightened experience, a woke up experience, an experience that is outside the realm of suffering human life. And they're not saying that because, oh my God, life is suffering. Obviously, there's goodness here. But remember the honey on a razor blade. Every goodness here seems to end. If that's also a projection, that can be stopped. And that's a big claim. And it's really the main reason all Buddhists are doing their Buddhist practices and all the weird blah, blah, bling, bling, and all the other things we do is to place something in our minds, to plant enough seeds that we'll be forced to experience a forest, hopefully in this life, of the sublime rather than be caught in the trap or hooked into the sufferings that can come and go, including elections. Ready to go into karma? Thanks, Javi. Gabriel, is that a bad? I should stop saying that. He keeps like nodding his head and smiling. Okay, I'll stop baiting people. Here we go. What is it? Can I ask you just a question? Someone just unmute yourself and say, and not if you've studied. If you're new here, that's good. I want to know because I forget, right, what I used to think karma is. Can I get someone to tell me what karma is that hasn't learned the technical definition through the Abhidharma Kosha? Someone? What's karma? And you want to make a mistake here because I'll encourage it.
Sure. So karma is what you deserve.
Danielle, is that you?
Yeah.
Yeah, what I deserve?
Your karma is what you deserve. So yeah. So anyone's karma is what they deserve.
How much of how much? How do I explain? T- Does it come every 3 years? Is it popping in every 2 hours? Like, how much do you deserve? Like, how much of it is karma? How much of your experience is karma? I guess that's what I'm asking.
That's something I think about. I yeah, I don't know. Or like is something just karma because of, I guess, like, okay, so this morning I teased my mom. My parents and I aren't getting along right now because they're both Trump supporters, and I teased my mom that she had to wait an hour to vote because she was gonna not vote for Biden. And I told her that that's why that was her karma. You know, I joked with her that that was her karma, that she had to wait an hour outside in the cold at 5:30 in the morning to vote, and I had no line. You know, so I said, you know, that's your karma when you're, you know, enabling a fascist. I mean, that's literally what I said to her.
What did you mean for her? What was your intent when you did that? If you want to share with 6, 7, 70 people.
Oh, I don't care. I'm an open book. Well, she was the one that asked me why I didn't have a line, and I guess I didn't really have an explanation as to why my experience was different than hers. We didn't do anything to get rid of the line, or I didn't, you know, plan to get there when I heard there was no line. We both randomly arrived to the same polling location. She had an hour line and I didn't. So I said it must be because of who we were intending to vote for that it was that way. I guess it was my way of like jokingly explaining why we had a different experience.
So jokingly, yeah, explaining there was a little dig, right? A little sarcasm.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay, good. So we'll keep that in mind. Thank you, Danielle. Anyone else want to share what they think karma is before I go and indoctrinate you through the books of Buddhism? Anyone else that hasn't been in these ACI classes?
I feel like it's the whole concept of what goes around comes around.
Kay, is that you?
Yeah, it's me.
There you are. Okay, yeah. Okay, good. And again, like Danielle, how often? When does it
I
get
think
acted?
that I don't know, and I've been toying with that concept because logically I want to say the greater the thing is, or like the greater the effect is, like if it was a lake and I threw a stone or something, like the bigger the stone was, then maybe the sooner I would get
Oh,
that back to me. Or,
yeah, yeah. But okay, cool. I like that. That's good. The greater the stone, the sooner you'll get a response because it's got a big impact. Yeah.
yeah. But
In-
then I don't know, sometimes it takes a really long time
yeah.
to
Okay.
for things to come full circle.
Good. Good. Okay. What happens in the in between times? What is that?
That's a really great question because I don't know.
Good. 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 Buddhists geek out on those questions. Like they totally go and debate for hours. Yeah. Okay. Good. Anyone else want to share that hasn't learned this stuff?
Hector?
Who's that?
Yeah.
Who is it? Let's have a look.
Hello?
Hi.
Oh, hi. Um,
Who's this? Who is it? I can't see you because they're tiny little boxes.
unmuted. It keeps muting me. It's weird. Oh, Chauncey?
Hi.
Hey. So karma?
Yeah.
Karma. So I feel like karma is like the lived experience of the content of your consciousness.
That's sexy. The lived experience of the content of your consciousness. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
I like that definition. That's really cool. The lived experience. Oh, I partly like that definition. Okay, I'm going to share definitions in a second, but it's bigger than a pebble in a lake. Yeah? It
Okay.
seems like No, it seems like it. I like it. Okay. Thank you for playing, everyone. Let's go to what these books that we're studying say. What is it? So it's A, the movement of the mind and what it motivates. So how you're, which is what Chauncey said, right? It's the content of your consciousness, but also, but you said lived, which is good. So what it motivates, right? So karma is a movement of the mind and what follows. So something happens in my consciousness, it shifts, and then things happen, right? So let's use that as a working definition. Yeah. Every time our minds move, something happens. And it includes both the movement of that mind, from thinking this to thinking that, from feeling this to feeling that, from wishing this to wishing that, from perceiving this and closing your eyes and being asleep, from being awake and being tired, from being tired and being energized, from being hungry and eating food, the movement of the mind and what follows, from being alive to being dead. Yeah, consciousness, like I'm a living thing. I'm a living thing that can move my arms. I'm a dead thing. Yeah, and what follows. Interesting. Let's think of that. I also want to say something that I don't think we've got it here. According to Buddhists, it is the movement of the mind and what follows in the Abhidharma Kosha. And it happens 65 times a finger snap. Like a movie projecting these seeds or this content of your mind or content of your consciousness lived, yeah, being labeling some reality out there, something out there, 65 times a finger snap. So much, so fast that it appears like a moving reality. Just placing that out there. This is what Buddhists have been explaining, debating, and practicing. Okay? Fundamental concept. Since I cannot find a nature in the object I call a pen, and my mind says pen, and I know dogs say chew toy, and I cannot find that nature, how fast is my mind projecting penness? 65 times a finger snap. And not just the pen, but the background of the pen, the texture of the pen, the feeling. 65 a finger snap. Just putting it out there so we can get some definition. So, like we said before, maybe some of those are stronger than others, and we'll go and investigate that probably on Thursday. But it's not just once. It's not what I said to my mum at the voting line only. That might be an awareness, a big awareness throughout the day, but the entire day is then our karma. And our response to it, what follows, what we say and do, and then think, is also our karma. One is ripened, one is planted. Ripened, planted, ripened, planted. Does that make sense to people? Can we think about it that way? When we think about it that way, let's go and break it down. They say 3 types: motivating karma, which is your thoughts, and motivated karma. Yeah. So Danielle, you would have said something to your mum because that's why I asked you, what was your intent? There was a motivation for saying that to your mum, right? That becomes the DNA of the seed, if you will. Lucky for you, you were partly joking. Yeah, Steve. Mhm. Sorry, I got some emergency on the phone. I don't know your show. Okay, it's okay. And I just ignored it. So you have mental, physical, and verbal karma, or mental, verbal, and physical karma. And for those of you doing the detail homeworks and quizzes, just take a snapshot of communicating and non-communicating, the 5 types of non-communicating. You see how Buddhists go and geek out on all these concepts. Hold on a minute. If karma is the movement of the mind and what follows, how do we know it's karma? How do we know what it is? And some of it communicates out by your gestures and so on, and the beings in your realm can understand that. And others are non-communicating, you still carry them. even if you're sleeping. So that's another deep story. So is that okay there? We got that as a concept. Movement of the mind and what follows. 65 times of finger snaps. I'm just giving you the elevator pitch notes for the study of karma in the 2 days we got together. It is thought, then verbal and physical action. And here it is, right? As our mind is witness to what we think, say, and do, we are now planting, putting an imprint on our mind of the same flavor, mostly the intent as well as the action of what we just said, thought, and do. The mind is forever recording. You are aware. Consciousness is always watching. You're always aware, right? When you say to someone you really dislike, oh, have a nice day, in your mind you've got bitch, right? They don't hear bitch. You hear it. Yeah? You eat that. It's growing inside you. 65, a finger snap. However long you elongated bitch, it's in here now, whether you like it or not. Sorry. It is also true for every time you loved, every time you said, I love you, every time you say, I wish they're okay, every time you said, oh, I wish you could understand and I'll try to help you understand. 65 finger snap. You're filled with goodness and you're filled with shittiness. Welcome to your mind. And all of it will ripen. Let me show you a little more. Okay. Let's talk about mental seeds. They're called buckchucks. It's that awareness that I just said of what we say, think, and do. And if you think of the metaphor of the seeds, okay, metaphor, because it's easy to understand. They go somewhere. And in the mind-only school, which is, I think, what we're studying right now, they go into your kunchi. So it's where they stay. It's a part of your consciousness where it stays and replicates. Yeah, there's debates in Buddhist thought about where is this karma? Where is this awareness of me doing things? Where is it stored? Where does it sit? And we can say generally it's in your mind. But then Buddhists have geeked themselves out in debates to find a specific part of your mind that it sits. And that's a whole story. But once those seeds are in there, once you've recorded yourself saying, thinking, or doing stuff, especially the things you do on a habitual basis, yeah? Someone says, Hector, I like your beard. If enough people say, Hector, I like your beard, and Hector has a frame, a habit, to label that, they really hate it. They're saying I'm old. Doesn't matter what nice things you say. If every time you say, I like your beard, my mind starts the habit of planting seeds, the awareness of my thought about that statement as I'm an old, decrepit man, or whatever the story is. If I'm watching my mind doing that on a habitual basis, then anytime I think of beard, that thing will arise. So when the right conditions, thanks, Shanti. When the right conditions appear, those seeds begin to ripen, and I get an experience similar to that of what I planted. Does that make some sense to people? Or am I talking weird? Yeah, good. So when the right conditions come, which it needs soil and it needs, the seed is the principal thing, just like we talked about last week. You need a principal cause. For a tree to come out, you need the seed, but you also need the soil and the water and the earth and all that. Without the earth, you can probably get the seed to sprout. Without too much sun, you can get a weak plant. But without the seed, there's no result. So the main thing that flops over into a result is the seed. So we got that from last week. We got that, right? So if we find all the right conditions, sun and water and earth, that seed will ripen. And then it begins to be a habit. It ripens. We begin to see the world that way. We begin to act that way. We begin to say that way. We begin to see the world in the pattern that we are ourselves recording. Yeah. For those of you who are interested, in under a minute, in military time, it'll be 2020 Eastern Standard Time in 2020, and it's the first time ever that will ever happen. Just thought you should know. Yeah. Just in a minute or something. Just to distract you also. So we get the idea that a seed planted will replicate itself if it ripens, it grows, it bears fruit, and we begin to create the conditions for more of those seeds to arise, and we plant those seeds more and more, and they produce more and more. Does that make sense? Yeah, good. So based on that thought, Buddha said there's 3 types of seed very generally. There's thousands, of course, but very generally, you can divide them. Buddhists are awesome at this. What kind of stuff am I putting in my mind? You can say there's virtuous seeds, positive things that will give you short-term pleasure, but ultimately lead you to awakening, nirvana, enlightenment. Good things, virtue. And this is the powerful connection between all these religions that say you must be moral or ethical, even though we all don't live it, right? But the link is there because of karma and emptiness. If things don't have a nature, if they're empty, if they are blank, and the nature that we experience of them is forced out of our consciousness because of what we said, thought, and do, then what we say, think, and do matters. And if we are shitty, we're going to get a reflection of shittiness. If we are awesome, we're going to get a reflection of awesome. If we are kind, generous, we're going to get that. So Buddha said, if you don't believe all my garbage, at least know this. There's 3 qualities to all the seeds we can plant in everything we say, think, and do. If it's virtuous, meaning if it's a good thing, it's bound to give a good result, give you kind of pleasure. If you're trying to be good to someone, give them a joy, a pleasure, a kindness, then you must be forced to experience that good, that joy, that kindness. Make sense so far? Good. Ultimately, if you do enough of that, because of the habit-forming nature of these seeds that replicate and create more seeds, the more of those positive experiences and practices we do, the more likely we are to have those positive results, which is the more likely we are to create that. If we see the link between them, that will ultimately lead you to awakening. You will ultimately turn everything that doesn't have a nature into bliss. Good? Now you also have non-virtuous seeds. Every time you put an imprint in your mind through what you think, say, and do that has a negative nature, a negative DNA, wanting to hurt someone or wanting to alienate someone or judging someone. Yes, you might be hurting that other person, but the person you're hurting the most is you, because your mind is imprinting. If I'm sarcastic to the cashier and go, "Have a nice day, bitch," and she didn't hear the bitch and I heard the bitch, that's my non-virtuous seed, which ultimately, like short term, it will produce some negative experience similar to that I created. Someone will say, "Hector, nice beard," and I'm thinking, why do they think I'm an asshole? Sorry. Why do they think I'm a bitch, right? Why do they think so bad of me? They just said nice beard. But my mind couldn't help but label that sarcastically, just like I am to cashiers. You see how it's your mind, it's not like a little seed, or because the Buddha said, what goes around comes around is correct in that sense. Makes sense so far? And ultimately, that prevents you from being free from the things that hurt you, which is prevents you from reaching freedom and nirvana. It's not that you don't get to go to heaven. It's not that. It's like you just stopped yourself from experiencing bliss. You did it. There's no one writing it up there going, you know, Eli, is that how you say your name? Eli? Yeah. Eli, your 23rd birthday was very good. Congratulations. Your 22nd birthday, a bit shitty. You're going to get, no one's sitting there doing that stuff to you. You're always recording and you're always experiencing and you're responding and reacting, planting seeds that creates the thing. And what we don't have is the link between why is this forest full of rotten fruit and why is this forest full of good fruit. We think our immediate actions cause those results instead of the things we plant in our minds. And then the Buddha also said there's a bunch of background neutral karma, sort of neither positive nor negative, things we do that create sort of the background of where everything is heightened. And I think, was it Danielle that said about the big stone or pond? Who was that? It was can't remember.
It was
So,
K, I think.
oh, K, yeah, it was K, right? So the big stones are big, powerful karmas that are really strong, right? Like a breakup, or lost your job, or fell in love, or had a baby. Like these are big, powerful stones. But that's not in no context at all. It's in a background of all these things that you feel sort of neutral about. Yeah. All of those things are empty of a nature. They're not what you think they are in reality from their own side. They are what you experience them to be because of your mind, the background and the foreground. So please think through that. That's important. Yeah. So the Buddha said, okay, even if you don't want to think and philosophize and meditate and whatever, and you just want to change your karma, here is my top 10 list of the shitty things you should not do. Ready? He's like, stop killing people. Don't kill things. Not because I said or baby Jesus says, probably because living things don't want to be killed. And if you're going to plant a seed in your mind of removing the life force from a living creature, then you're probably going to experience harm and you won't know why. You're probably going to experience, if not being killed yourself, some reduction in your life force. So it's not because I said or the 10 commandments came down and said, thou shalt not kill. It's preventing you from hurting yourself. And then the top three are of body: no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, meaning, well, a whole bunch of things, but basically don't take other people's partners lest you want your partners to be taken away from you, right? Like stop coveting other people's beings. And you've got, well, you don't have complete control. You have you have as much control as you have to choose a response to your situation rather than following the habit or the inertia of what brought you to this moment, 2020, 2020. Yeah. And so the top three are of body. These are karmas we do physically. The next four karmas of lying, divisive speech, harsh words, meaningless talk, endless TikToks, no, are, are of speech, right? Things we say. Our minds are recording everything we say. And how many of you, I'm interested because my teacher taught me this, and this happened to me many times. How many of you have lied at work and gotten away with it, either got a promotion or a congratulations or a reward? So I've done that, yeah. I'm like, oh yes, I lied, right? Under this system, it's impossible to get a good thing out of a negative seed. Like we didn't see the disconnect. We just planted a shitty seed by lying, yeah? Which means the result must be equal to that seed. The correlation, when we get to experience that seed that lies within us, within our minds, before it comes to life, that will appear as someone lying to us, even if they're telling us the truth. Our minds will be suspicious. We will be unable to discern the truth. Not because someone's writing it down. You did it. You lied at work. So hopefully you'll get to see more of these correlations in a second. And the last three are of mind, stuff that happens in our mind and our mind is watching. So we're planting these things. Basically, coveting and ill will is being happy when people get what they, being unhappy when others get what they want. Why did she get the car? Why did she get the girlfriend or boyfriend? Why did she? I want it for me. Like being unhappy that people got happy. Or ill will is being happy when they don't get what they want. It's like, good, she deserved it at work. What a bitch. You know, like that kind of flavor. You're imprinting your mind with a joy about a negativity. And if this theory of seeds is true, guess what's ripening in your mind and projecting onto emptiness in your future? And then wrong views, I hated that word. I hated it so much. But from a Buddhist point of view, this means if we can be so clear about the nature of capital R reality, the reality that there is no nature in things, there's no self nature in the object I call pen, that thing without humans can never be pen. And it can also not be chew toy. There is a thing there, yes, but the chew toy nest comes from dogs. The pen nest comes from humans. That's our karma projecting that reality, both functionally and perceptually, in each of those beings. And there is as many realities as there are beings. If that's true, then the wrong view of things is thinking that a pen is a pen from its own side, and anyone that doesn't agree with me has to be struck down and burnt at the stake because they're stupid dogs. They're dumb. And so our ignorance goes and attacks those that don't share our view because we are right and they're wrong. That's wrong view here. The misunderstanding that the reality we're experiencing must have come from our collective share projections as humans, or all the dogs, or all the humans that like Trump, or all the humans that like Biden, to think that there's some nature over there and misunderstand that we are complicit in the experience because we're witnessing it. That's wrong views. And when you get that, oh my God, that's a door. That's a door to say, I have power all of a sudden. Whatever comes, comes. Let me act in accord to what I want to happen rather than what's happening right now. Real freedom. And so on the positive side, I thought I'd write you, because this, some people take those lists. When the Buddha said, don't do these things, he also meant what would happen if you started planting seeds of protecting life, respecting other people's belongings that they worked really hard at, honoring other people's relationship and wishing more happiness between them, even if you thought they were sexy. You could at least go, oh, they're so sexy. I hope that they're sexy together, or that they see each other's sexiness or whatever. And then you just planted a craving with a bliss, right? And I have a story about that. We can talk about it later. I think that's, damn. Javi, we got maybe 2 minutes. Let's do 5 minutes before we do a breakout. I rambled on for too long. Yeah?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All yours.
Okay, so I'm going to do my very best to do this in 5 minutes. It's going to take me 8. The loss of karma. So karma, there's like rules for this, the law of how it works, right? It's a law, not just a theory, not just a metaphor. According to the system, this is how reality arises to each mind, right? The number one, we talked about this before, like produces like. So if I do a good deed, I am going to get a good deed. I'm going to get a good result, a good experience. Then there's this thing that karma expands. So if I do something today, or I say something today, then tomorrow, whatever seed or whatever mental imprint is in my mind will become bigger. And then the next day, bigger. It is said that it actually doubles every day. So the result is much bigger than the deed. So let's put an example, money, because we all understand money. If I intentionally give $1 to a very important charity with the proper intention and work on that karma very well, that will result in my experience of getting much more than just $1 back. Same if you do a good deed that has nothing to do with money, right? If you teach somebody Dharma, these things with the right intention, regardless of how they react, right? Because more so if you're like newer to this thing, you're gonna like teach them thinking that they're gonna have the same reaction that you do. But if you do it with the right intention and with the love and compassion and knowing what this does, the result would be that you will get amazing Dharma teachings down the road, much bigger and better than whatever Dharma teaching you can do. This third law of karma. So review the second one, karma expands. The first one, like produces like. The third law of karma is that if a karma is committed, it will yield a result. It's impossible that it will not. You will have an experience that is a result from every karma that you have committed. And the fourth law of karma is that there's no result from something that has not been caused. So if you don't commit a karma, if you don't do a deed, say something, or think of something, there will not be any result to that. So let's take the example of money. There's no way you will be able to see an abundant world if your mindset is of scarcity. You're not planting abundant. You're not creating the abundant karma. And I'm sorry I use money. I know there's a lot of people that have plenty of misconceptions or ill conceptions of money. It's just a language that everybody understands here. That's why I'm using it. Then karma ripens in 4 ways. Now, heads up, the homework only requires you to say 3 of these ways, but karma does ripen in 4 ways. The first one is that it ripens as a result. This usually refers to a rebirth. And most of the non-virtues that we spoke about are, if you commit them, they're going to result in a lower birth or in a lower rebirth. A second way that it ripens is in a corresponding experience. So this is your personal experience of karma. It's another thing. Nobody's going to experience your karma but you. So it's going to ripen in a way that you experience love, scarcity, joy, hunger. And it will always be of the same flavor of that karma that you planted, that resulted in this. Then the third one, and this is the one that's not in the homework, but it's important to keep in mind, it ripens in a form of habit. And this is important to know, because this habit of karma, if you work it well, it can take you in an upward spiral towards enlightenment. It can take you in a downward spiral towards the hells. And that's why it's there, because once you start getting used to a certain way of acting and thinking, and you start planting these karmas and reacting to your reality in the proper way, you actually spiral up the experience, and it habituates. It stops being forced and contrived. You start behaving this way in a more natural way, like Buddhist automation. And then it's the environment. Your world and the people around you are going to basically reflect that karma ripening in your life. So you're going to see that your family and your friends, you're going to be forced to perceive them having a similar karma. You live in the same apartment, in the same city, have the same president. That's shared karma. That's the environment way that karma ripens. And then there's another textbook way that karma is experienced, the result of karma is experienced. And the first way is that you experience result in this life. So that's a powerful motivator, right? Like if you think like, well, whatever I do right now, I might experience the result in this life, then I'm of course I'm gonna do it. That sounds great, right? Actually means that if you work it well, you can get enlightened in one lifetime. There's also karma that will result in your next life. Not as motivated, right? Because we still are battling with the idea of past and future lives, at least most of us. I know some of you are not. And then the results that ripen, not in this life, not in the next one, but in the next, maybe next life. So this is like the list of karma laws and how it ripens. And now we're going to move on to our breakout group, right?
Yeah, let me just review a couple of things here so it makes sense for the breakout groups. What we've learned so far, karma is everything. Everything your mind engages with. Inner world, outer world. There's nothing that is not 65 times a second being pasted with your experience of it. That's karma. Then what you do in response to that, like someone hurts you or someone loves you and you say something or do something, or are gently sarcastic with your mum at the voting line, all the nuance
2 minutes
that you did there, that gets recorded by your consciousness. That's planting new seeds that over time, after multiplying every 24 hours, ripens as a solid reality, because that object is empty of a nature, doesn't have a self nature. Your mind forces an experience onto it that is produced by what you did before. And so what goes around comes around. But there's a bloody long time sometimes between what goes around comes around. And there are techniques, there are so many lists in Buddhism about how to enact or work with karma. Since if this is the mechanism that makes my reality, then I better learn a bit about karma. And yes, like produces like, it expands over time. I can't complain if something's around me. My mind is having the experience. I must have planted those karmas in a smaller version, which means I can undo them. And I can't complain that I'm not getting what I want because I haven't enacted the karmas to do that. So I better get busy creating the causes for my consequences. So these are very important concepts, first four laws. And then the one I wanted to highlight a little bit is the way that a seed pops up, the way it ripens, like Javier just covered, is yes, lemon seeds will produce lemon trees. Bitter imprints will create bitter results. So like produces like, but you'll have your own personal experience of that. You'll get, when you're about to vote and you're confused or do something important where you're going to create a big choice, someone's going to do a very strong sarcastic joke or something similar that will make you question your reality in a way that you tried to question your mum's. Just broadly speaking, but much bigger. And then you get a taste for it, a habit, because we're built to create these patterns of habits that help us reframe reality in the way that we're experiencing it. And lastly, the environment, which is what Javier covered, doesn't just mean that your karma is everything around you, is that it's biased towards the garbage or the good that you've placed in your mind. So if you've been abusive to others, you're likely to live around a country or a culture that celebrates that abusiveness. If you're gentle and kind and good to others, you're likely to be born in a family or a culture that makes those things to continue. Yeah. So it's not just your personal experience, but everyone's conspiring with you, either positively or negatively, depending on the karmas. Yeah. That's what they mean by you choose your family. It means your karma forces your family on you. That's harsh. But anyway, worthy of investigation. What we'd love to do is I'm going to go back to, let me just stop. I'm going to ask you to please take a screenshot of the 10 deeds, this slide, because you're going to need it in your breakout groups. You give me the karmic result of, where is it here? You as a group decide, go down this list very quickly, this top 10 list. What are the karmic results that your mind will be forced to experience if you plant lots of seeds of killing things? Yeah, just killing. Mind recording you taking the life away from things, whether it's insects, humans, whatever. Your mind is recording that was a living creature crawling around. Now it's not. Yeah. Thinking, saying, or acting. 3 doors. Okay. You killing. Sorry. You killing. You saying, kill it. You thinking, kill it. Yeah. What would be the result of that in your life if you witness your mind recording take lives away, or stealing, or sexual misconduct, which we defined, for lack of a better word, adultery, or coveting other people's partners, just saying that, or not telling the truth, or using your words to divide people. Don't talk to her, she's not. Or saying things that are deeply harsh to others that would disturb their minds, or just blabbing on nonstop. Can I ask you to take a snapshot of that? And if like produces like and karmas expand, I want every group to come up with 10 correlations of how your future experience, either in this life or the next, or the one after that, according to Buddhists, how would that manifest in your life? What would you be forced to experience on emptiness? Does that make sense with the exercise? So I'm going to give you half an hour to go, 20 minutes to go through the list, 20 minutes to go through the list. So we'll be back at 9:10 Eastern Standard. Is that good? And then we'll debrief it and we'll save some questions for the future. And I'm going to make you groups of 10 so everyone has one. And then everyone that comes back, let me just go through this quickly. Here is your exercise. So you took a picture of that. We did the laws of karma. And This is your thing. So what's your corresponding result, your personal future experience? And we'll just pick one from each group. Okay, you won't know which one, so you better have everyone answered. Good? Thank you. You should have a spokesperson. Here we go. Let's create groups of 10. Here you go. Enjoy. And if you're a 3 Joules teacher, wait till I put you in a group. In you go. Open all rooms. Here you go. We've got Ming, you can go in that group. Lena, good. Janine, you can go in that group. Thank you.
Is this like all the people from meditation teacher training right now?
Sarah and Anthony, you can go in that group. Danielle, Karuna, Hannah, and Gabe, you can go in that group.
All right. Someone, please.
Elizabeth, you can go in that group. Maya, you can go in that group. Everyone can join the group they've been allocated. Enjoy. Have you too.
I think I understand, but like, I need that language now. Hey, Javier. Wow. I know, that's what I said.
Alex, why'd you run away from your group? You're muted, or I can't hear you. What group were you in? Give me a number.
Guys, I think we need to talk about something else.
Hey, can you hear me now, Hector?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I missed the whole breakout assignment because I had to run downstairs for kid duty, but I am here.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to group me. I can just wait until the breakdown afterwards.
2 more minutes, yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. I just gave them an extension. They're basically talking about correlations between, you know, the exercise. Right?
Yeah, I heard the exercise.
Great, won't be long.
Yeah.
I volunteered Eli too.
I heard that.
What'd he say?
I think birthday boy just got volunteered. Happy birthday to you. That's awesome. Okay, I think we got everyone back. Thanks for coming back, everyone. We got 20 minutes max to pick through every group and get them to share. I'm going to go from the bottom. I think group 6. Who was group 6? I think, if I look
That
at...
was us. It was Maya, Deirdre, Zoe, Jeremy, Elizabeth, Sheila, Lucienne, and May.
Awesome. That's the group I didn't end up interrupting rudely. Let's go in reverse order.
Okay.
Wrong views. What the hell did you get to there? I think everyone else was still on number 2 or something when I...
So for wrong view, we defined it as like you are always confused and surrounded by people who are confused, people who want seemingly the wrong things. So there was an example brought up of there's a woman who had money, but she wanted an iPhone versus paying for her children's education. Surrounded by people making decisions like that. There's no access to Dharma around you, or there is a heavy sense of false Dharma around you if you constantly plant these seeds of wrong view in your mind.
That's interesting. So classic Buddhism, wrong views would mean thinking the pleasure must be inside the ice cream. Mm-hmm. Nothing to do with the correct view that my mind is forcing sweetness in dulce de leche rather than lactose intolerance or something, right? That it isn't in the object, it's in the experiencer and those seeds. That's correct view, and perpetuating wrong view, trying to get the right ice cream, must force you to also not understand where things are coming from.
Yeah.
Right? I think you got that in that example. That's cool. So let's go to group
Five.
group
6.
5. We've got 6 groups and we've got 10 things. That's really what I'm thinking about. So let's go. What is it? Ill will and coveting. Can we do that from group 5? Is that what's up? Yeah.
Yes. Well, we didn't get to ill will.
Oh, that's right. I was.
but I can kind of. I mean, I'll cover 8, and then I will give an interpretation of 9.
What do you want to do? Something else? Do you want to volunteer a thing you guys talked about that you liked?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll pick it at the last second. So coveting was effectively never being satisfied or grateful for what you actually do have.
Wow.
And then another one was divisive speech. That's the one I'll pick. Where basically divisive speech will never, it fosters terrible or poor relationships, which effectively creates an explosion of more divisive speech.
So you mean seeing other people dividing you or interpreting other people's speech as wanting to separate you from people you like?
It's the opposite of effectively creating a union between people. So you're creating the division of people, which then in effect creates more division amongst themselves, which like exponentially creates even more division.
Like in an election.
Kind of.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you, Kay. Who was group 4? Let's see, group 4. Who's the spokes creature for group 4?
I think that's us. Hannah and Dad tag team.
Dad?
Indeed. Indeed.
Hi, Dad.
This is Walter.
Namaste.
Namaste. Which 2 do you want to pick? We'll just let you talk about the one that was most meaningful.
We talked, the most meaningful was meaningless talk.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, yeah. And we decided if you engage all the time in meaningless talk, it might come back to you and you might have a hard time finding meaning generally in life. Everything may drain of color and be somewhat meaningless.
Interesting. Yeah. Or just noise for the sake of noise, like too many TikTok apps being offered at you. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't know about that, but
well,
I'm a dad.
Don't worry, there's TikTok Dad. You can go to Dad TikTok anytime.
But we thought about there's only so much life, as you were saying earlier, and why engage in meaningless anything if there's only so much in this life?
Right. Awesome. Really cool. Who's group 3? Is that Eli? No.
Yeah, I think I got nominated at the end there.
Happy birthday to
so just talk about which one meant the most to
you. Go for it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think what resonated with me most these days was the harsh words begetting like violence, a general violence, or it was described a loudness, a general displeasure with how things are coming in and how they're touching our like our soft spot. It was brought up generally, could be encompassed by just living in New York, dealing with the everyday of New York. And in time getting you the inability to receive what you would view as pleasurable, what you would view as not harsh. If you're just being harsh all the time, you're just going to be getting more and training your mind to react in a harsh way of, oh, my beard means this about me that I don't enjoy.
That's awesome, Eli. Thank you. Yeah, right. It's interesting. just general sounds will appear as really aggravating. And I like that you took it to the physicality of New York or Chicago, right? Which is just a beep on the street. It's like annoying. It's just a beep on the street. For the person beeping, it's not annoying, or maybe it is, and that's why they're beeping. But they're hoping for a pleasure when they're making that sound. Or the train sound saying, "Get out of my way so I don't hurt you." It might be intended with something different, but my ears sitting here when I'm trying to teach meditation is annoyance. Can only have come from that similar imprint. Really cool. Who's group 3 now? Or 2? 2.
I think we were 2.
Hi, 2.
I'll do stealing. So we said we would lose our belongings a lot, have things stolen from us, live in an environment where there are a lot of break-ins, paranoia, attachment to things, and not trusting.
Interesting. So I heard this in other groups as well. You went really layered into more specifics than just the obvious correlation of, noticing that you have lack because you've taken away other people's things. That's a nice generality. But in your example, in other people's groups, there was some good nuances about what level of any of these 10 are we enacting. Is it the thinking level or the speech level or the action level, which creates the karma of either my physical experience or mental experience? Because they're so complex, right? That's really cool, Mackenzie.
And what we talked about as well was there's the karma, but there's also the motivation behind the action that can shape the karma in a different way.
Yeah, good. And I think we talk about it next week, but just to give you a flavor, what is the DNA of that moment of mind that is perceiving the intention you're putting out there through your action? There's so much data that your mind is recording. They say 90% of it is your intention, but then all the actual thing you're doing or watching yourself doing is also recorded, and the effect, the possible effect it's having on the people around you is also recorded. So there's so much recorded in that planting that when it unravels with all that stuff, but mostly the intention. The example they use is if a knife cuts my arm, is that a good karma or a bad karma? And it depends. Metal on skin creating blood might be a good karma if there's poison in there and they're trying to take out the poison, or a doctor's trying to do surgery. But it's bad if I'm getting stabbed, right? Same stuff. Different physical experience must have come from 2 different motivations of a similar thing. Really cool breakdown. And who's group 1? Who was group uno?
I'm going to talk for group 1. It was a bunch of us. I didn't write down everybody, so forgive me. But we spent a lot of time on killing, so I figure we'll talk about that. Originally, we started off talking about, violence either happening to people that you love or in your life, in your city, country. It could be as grand as, but experiencing violence. However, then we also spoke of maybe it's also could be death of projects in your life, like maybe nothing is being fulfilled that you want. Everything that you put your energy into is actually not coming to fruition and not living, basically. And then one more point is maybe even we are not able to experience love, and we kind of go through the life in solitude and in the life alone, feeling alone and so on, because you've taken that from someone else, and now it's your reality as well, that you really don't have anyone living.
That's interesting. You went really broad on the definition of killing, because when you sort of kill someone else's joy, then you experience your joy killing, if like produces like. But if you see or think or say, make someone get killed, that karma must be experienced personally as some reduction in your life force, either easily ill, getting sick, or dying prematurely, or whatever, if life continues. So let me show you quickly. Is there anyone else I missed? Actually, Steve, your group said a good, I overheard you say something interesting about killing, that we must all have some seed of killing, otherwise.
It was about aging.
Yeah, can you do that while I click onto the slide? Can you share what that was? It was really cool. I just overheard.
Maya said results of killing would be aging, and we kind of had a debate about it. But yeah, if you stopped killing people, then you wouldn't experience yourself die, and aging is kind of experience of, it's kind of the conveyor belt to death. So that was the thought behind that.
That was a really good debate, because I don't remember killing anyone. Why am I aging? You know, and then you have to bring into effect all the other ideas we've covered in the course. So I like that a lot. Let me just quickly walk through from the Buddhist point of view. Can you all see this? We'll do it really quickly, and then can you all see that? Can I get a thumbs up? Yeah, thanks. I'll just quickly go through it, because remember, there's the personal ripening. Well, there's a general ripening, which I think Javier already covered. If we're doing any of these things because we have misunderstanding of where things come from, if I think I'm going to get happy, then I'm going to, by stopping someone that's harmful, by killing them, I'm going to get happy. That misunderstands that the happy exists or in that object. And what I've really done is just destroyed a life. Yeah, doesn't matter how justified you feel, you've just planted a seed of taking a life. And so most of these are assuming that we have a misunderstanding about reality. And in the ripening result, the seed of an apple will produce an apple. All of them will produce a lower rebirth. But if not, you'll produce a habit for that kind of thing. Yeah, doing the same thing over and over when talking about the ripening. So you'll get a taste for taking away life, or a taste for cheating on your partner, or a taste for lying, or a taste, etc., etc. So the ripening result is that your mind has that flavor, if you're lucky enough to be a human, according to Buddhists. Now, this part is the part I asked you, what's a correct correlation of like produces like and amplified in your future experience of yourself, if you did killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, etc. And here is the answers from these texts. So killing or taking away life will produce a short lifespan, or bad health, or dying. Yeah. Stealing, lack of resources, no abundance. And just environmentally, it means you don't have opportunities. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah. And sexual misconduct, assuming we call that cheating on your partner, is whether or not your partner is cheating on you or not, you'll constantly have that perception that someone's trying to take your partner away, because it's in your mind, forcing itself out on a reality that doesn't have a nature. But it can be experienced completely as a cheating partner too, right? So both materially and perceptually. It's not just your perception that karma is talking about. It goes radically deep. It says the experience you're forced to be born in forces those karmas to be up. So there's a kind of addiction. Let's go sexual misconduct. Cheating produces cheating. Even if the other person isn't cheating, you're suspicious. But it also produces the cheating. And that's deep. It goes deep into karma. We won't get to that in this course. Then lying, no one will believe you, even if you're saying the truth. If you've got the seeds for lying and you've been planting lies, and then later on you're telling the truth, your mind will force you not to perceive that no one believes you, yeah, or feel discredited. Divisive speech is like, doesn't matter how much you try to bring people to have friends and so on, you'll always feel someone's talking bad about you all and separating you or saying things. So you get these correlations, right? Meaningless talk, harsh words, unpleasant sounds or things, New York subway and honking. Meaningless talk, it's like no one pays attention to you when you speak. It like you're ignored all the time, etc., etc. And here's, I think, some of the, I'm just going to say, can you just take a snapshot of that? Next week, we're going to talk about more lists around karma, because it's just giving us a slight context of what karma is. If it's true that our consciousness is producing this experience of that thing out there that is empty of a nature, we can never really find the thing that is pen for us. There is an object, there is hard, there is long and hard, etc., etc. But my mind is saying pen, 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 and the dog is saying choo, choo, toy. We can never find that thing separate to what our minds are forcing it to be. This impulse, this karma happens so fast that it creates our reality. This is what we're investigating. There's so much depth. So far, we've covered like produces like. Whatever you do expands into your reality later on. Obviously, it takes time from when you do the deed and it creates the multitude of worlds, which is the first line of the 4th chapter of the Abhidharma Kosha. Deeds, your actions, karma, the things you think, say, and do, produce the multitude of worlds that you are forced to experience, and dogs and cats and other humans and Trump supporters and non-Trump supporters, Americans and non-Americans. It's not out there, people. We are grouped in a collection of sharing the same karmas. That's what makes us human from a Buddhist perspective. It's not that you have arms and legs, it's that we share the same seeds producing a similar world. And within the human family, we have seeds that have mistrust and seeds that have love and seeds that, and we don't know the correlation. We don't know we created that. So if this is true, everything we've ever said, thought, and done has planted seeds in our minds that produces the reality we're currently living in right now, and tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. That means you got a ton of shitty seeds in your mind. It also, they're ready to pop. You also have a ton of awesome, loving, gentle, kind seeds in your mind. And on Thursday, we get to work. Can we amplify the good ones? And is there anything we can do to bring down and destroy the things that if I realized was going to create suffering for me, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have hurt another person if I realized it was going to destroy my life. Is there any way to undo some shitty karmas that we've planted? And is there any way to amplify the awesome karmas that I've planted? Because all of you have done both. That's on Thursday. I hope that works for everyone. Can I get a thumbs up if that resonates, feels good? Good. Now let me do the karma of sealing this thing that we just did. May everyone else also get it. May everyone else find a key that can unlock their world for them, and offer it up to whatever's teaching me, whatever karma that is. Here we go. Sashi Poki Jushin Metok Drama Rerolling Jin Degampadi Sange Shindu Mite Viwargi Vedrokun Namda Shinla Chiparsho Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniryatayami Gawadihi Gawokun Sunam Yeshe Soksokşin Sunam Yeshe Lejun Wei Dampa Kuni Topar Shok. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you and all of you. May your voting results be as what they are, but may your mind catch itself responding to it in the wisest, most powerful way. May the whole of America find a way to happiness, not just half of it. See you on Thursday with karma and emptiness and how to undo shitty karma and how to, we're just tasting Buddhism, yeah? Happy birthday, Eli, everyone's saying. Thanks, sir. Anyone else's birthday, or did I just pick on one person? Any other Scorpios here? Yeah, there is. Chris.
Hi.